Welcome to the Inherent Identity Podcast, a place where you can learn the secrets to living as the best version of you. It's not about changing, it's not about becoming, it's about remembering. It's about recovering what you've always had within you, but you just keep getting distracted and you just keep forgetting. Join me, your host, Tyson Bradley, as we discover the practical steps for easily and effortlessly creating a lifestyle that lasts. All right, everybody. This is Tyson Bradley, and I've got a friend here whose name is Matt Ubell. And we were just talking before even hopping on here about our ideals for this podcast, for this moment. And when I was telling him, I was saying, hey, I think that my ideal for this experience here is that we blow everybody's minds and we blow our own minds in the process, that we just share things and connect and talk and have a conversation in such a way that learning occurs on all accounts. And so that's my goal. I hope, I think that would be an awesome goal to have for every episode. Hopefully all of your brains are your minds are blowing. You're receiving new insights every time you listen to an episode, but that I think can happen. And I don't know about you, Matt, but I remember hearing this idea. It must have been someone was saying that they would go to church and it would just be boring. And yet their dad would be writing furiously all these notes. And he goes to his dad. He's like, Dad, how are you so engaged? Isn't this boring? He's like, oh no, the speaker is pretty boring. They're pretty bland, but I have so many other insights. It's I can take their topic and then I just make it my own. And I just, riff and take all that insight and just ask questions and continue my learning there. So maybe that could be the experience for all of you who are listening, but hopefully what we say is riveting. So I don't know if that relates to anything, but
yeah. Well, thanks for having me on your podcast, and it's great to talk to you. But yeah, that sounds great to me. I mean, I think that's really interesting about just I'm not really interested in what they're saying, but something's speaking to me. So, I'm going to think about that. But
yeah. So I will tell everybody that Matt and I met. Our mutual connection is his wife, and and we've been working together for over a year now. And what I love about Matt, and for something that you all should know, is that he is a board certified ear, nose, and throat doctor. I don't know the technical.
I was wondering if you were going to attempt to say otolaryngologist. Just let me say
that.
Otolaryngologist.
That is what you are, or at least that is the practice that you have, a profession that you've been. I mean, how long have you been doing it?
I've been done with residency for 15 years now.
15?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But,
yeah,
you said that's what you do, but that's something that we've changed, right?
Right.
That's one of the things that you helped me with is just the identity, of going from I'm an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and then I've got this other side business that I might be working on to no, this is the main thing I do, is this business that you're helping with. So that shift in identity has been really one of the key insights that you've helped me with. And it's amazing when you just make that shift in your identity, no, this is one of the main things that I do. It totally changes your attitude towards it. And one of the things that we worked on is just being, our phrase was gung ho about it. It means, for me, that means just telling everybody about it, whether I'm professionally in the office telling people about it, or, I'm at, dinner somewhere and I run into someone I know and they're like, oh, how's it going? Or if they say, what do you do for work? This is one of the things that I tell them. Like I don't like just kind of skim over it or forget about it and just say that I'm just an ENT, but I'm so much more than that, right?
we better not keep the listeners in the dark. So if you could tell them, it's like about kind of this experience that you had and kind of where, like, what you're passionate about, what you're creating. I think that would be an awesome, because this is like kind of the big story for you, is this shift in identity as being someone who was just always this professional and now into this new project. And so tell them kind of how this occurred and kind of what you're now focusing on.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of mixes my personal story with my professional life because, what I want to help people with is allergies. And for years and years and years, I suffered from allergies. I mean, I remember, going back when I was a kid, like probably, it was before third grade, right? Because that's when I moved. And so it was, I was probably like 8 or 10 years old the first time I remember like having allergies or being someone who has allergies. And for from then until like now, I just thought of myself as someone who has allergies, and it kind of got worse and worse. And I was using more and more medication to try to control the symptoms. So, I was taking Zyrtec every day and taking Flonase every day, and just still like having symptoms, like not feeling great. But what really kind of kicked it for me was thinking about just being on these medications all the time and whether that's really the best thing for me. And then kind of thinking at the same time, plus, like, not only do I not really want to be on these medications, they're not doing it for me. Like, I just need something else. And so that's what led me to really think about, like, let me investigate something else, like an alternative to this. And so that's what I found that worked for me is a way to kind of work on what's coming into my body, whether it's the air I breathe or the food I eat. And then also using some supplements that are focused on rebalancing the immune system. And then, one of the critical parts was using mindset to just change the way I think about it. And so then what I've done is I had such good success for myself, and I'm seeing all these patients in the office with allergies. I think, well, there's no reason I should keep this to myself. I mean, I should really share this with people, and that's what I've started this business around, is trying to share that with other people.
Yeah, I remember hearing once. I think it comes from Jay Abraham or something, and Russell Brunson has quoted this guy too, is if you have something that can change people and help them, it's like you're under a moral obligation to do so. Because it's like, man, if you have this thing and it could truly benefit someone's life, like, why would you not share it? And I remember as we've worked together that everything that you did was it treated this allergy fix solution as a side business. It was just something that you did on the side. And then through a number of our conversations, recognizing that there was more to this relationship with this business than just it being a side thing. And I think it's interesting to think of it like a relationship, because it's like, if you can imagine, telling someone it's just a side thing. Like, it's almost like, I don't really care about you, but I do want to spend some time with you.
Right.
So I don't know. It's like, when did things change for you in terms of just like, oh, like, I really want to be someone different here?
I mean, I think a big part of it was when we kind of discussed, what is the motivation for this? And, the motivation for me is not to, like, make some more money on a side business, right? The motivation really is, like we said, to share this with other people. And it comes down to just having a motivation of service to other people. And I think that's why I enjoy being in ear, nose, and throat, because even when I'm doing something that's kind of mundane, or like I was thinking the other day about doing a tonsillectomy. I've done like, thousands, literally thousands of tonsillectomies. I'm like, the 1,001st tonsillectomy, it's not like that's super fun or challenging or anything like that. No, I do it because, like, for that patient, that tonsillectomy is life-changing, right? For that kid or that adult or that family, it means everything to them. And that's the most important surgery for them, right? And it's that kind of feeling of service that keeps me motivated to, like, do a tonsillectomy if that's what someone needs. But that same feeling of service to share this information with other people who have allergies, who are, in my situation where they don't want to be taking medications for it, or they want an actual, like, permanent solution to it instead of just, taking medication every day. That's what I want to be able to share with people. And so once I kind of realized that, like, hey, that's really what you're going for here, that's your motivation here, then that totally allowed me to kind of make that shift and say, like, gosh, this is something that not just, like, might be fun to share with other people or might be fun to do, but, like, I really need to do it. Like, that's like a mission for me to fulfill.
Yeah. When you first, like, when did you first discover that there was an alternative way to handle your allergies? Like,
I mean, I think I told you, I've been kind of thinking about it for a while, like, hey, gosh, man, I'm taking these medications. Like, what else could I take? That was like my mindset at that point was just like, well, medication's the answer for this, right? So, like, what other medication can I take? And I'm just, because what I was taking, like, wasn't working that great. And then I was just thinking about that. And then actually, one of the biggest things that kind of shifted it for me was reading a article in the New York Times about how taking medications like antihistamines can not be good for you. Like, one of the things it can do is increase risk of dementia. It's one thing if you're like, oh, every spring for about a week I need to take some Zyrtec. Fine, you take Zyrtec for a week. That's not a big deal. But if you're like me, where every day for like 20 years or more, you're taking Zyrtec, maybe that's doing something to you. And so, that's what really made me think, like, hey, you got to put some effort into, looking for something else. And that's what I did. So I just, was looking for alternative treatments. And that's when I found the supplements, but also looking at, what else can I do to clean up my own environment to make my body less reactive. That's the whole idea, is to just change that shift or change that balance from, being always in allergy mode to just being in proper balance. That's why, one of the things that we've talked about is just kind of clarifying that. It's like, what is the goal, of Allergy Fix? The Allergy Fix is a balanced body. That's the ultimate goal. And that can mean, not just even with allergies, but just feeling good in your body, feeling like your body is working with you, not against you. And your body is there to help you do all the things that you want to do.
Yeah. No, I love that. And, it's interesting because within the last week, even, my sister, I don't know what news article or what she had heard, but she said that Zyrtec or other medication, like these allergy medications, that they, like, were negatively impacting, like, her mood and just even her daily experience. And she was telling me, she's like, I was ticked, she was so mad, just because it's like, every medication commercial, right, is filled with happy people doing happy things, because that's how you sell things, is you tie a thing to happiness and you show it. And so, yes, they have on double speed at the very end of a commercial, this could cause and maybe include death. Just they do all that to cover their bases. But man, when you start to realize that, oh, what if some of the cause of your even mental challenges is caused by a chemical imbalance or something from your allergy medication. And I was just like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, right.
That some of these things could influence you in that way.
Well, and
So,
there's that, but just having allergies themselves, like having inflammation in your body, can cause a change in your thought process. I mean, it can change your overall energy. It can change,
yeah.
like some people will even report kind of feeling kind of foggy in their thought process just from allergies. But then if you add on top of that a medication that can make you drowsy and can,
Yeah.
make you feel that way, it's like, it's not a great way to live.
Yeah. Now, I'll be honest with you, everybody. Like, Matt worked with me personally on my own allergies. It's like I went through his whole process, and it included just a deep dive analysis of like even my blood and urine and my hair. And it's just like all these different things to uncover what is actually going on in this body of mine. And it was so fascinating to just get a sense, or what am I allergic to? What does my body react to? And to be able to address all the elements that I don't know, go into inflammation, because I feel like that is one of the big pillars of your body's health, is being able to reduce inflammation. Is that right, Matt?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that are tied to inflammation, and
Yeah.
allergies is one of them. And so it's great to be able to feel better from your allergies because you have less inflammation in your body. But when you have constant inflammation going on, it affects all sorts of things. I mean, one big thing is gut health, which is, it's kind of like your gut health causes inflammation, and then the inflammation can cause worse gut health. So it's one of those things that kind of reinforces itself. But everything from your digestion to like overall how you feel, like mentally and energy wise, but even heart disease and strokes, and that stuff is linked to inflammation. I mean, that's what is the underlying trigger for that. And even things like cancer, like, can either be made worse or even be triggered by inflammation. So this was, one of my emails I sent out to my people a couple of weeks ago, was saying like, hey, what does it mean to have good health? Are you shooting for like, I don't die in my sleep tomorrow, or do I not have a terminal cancer diagnosis tomorrow? Yeah, that's sure. If that's your minimum goal, then great. But
Yeah.
also, like, feeling good in your body, and just, feeling like you have energy and have the, what you need to do what you want to do in life. By the way, yes, you'll reduce your risk of dying suddenly and getting cancer, but at the same time, you're going to feel much better along the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think what was fascinating for me is, yes, understanding my body was neat because I had never really studied it or got it analyzed. But what was more powerful was just really questioning things like sleep, things like diet, things like my mindset around allergies, or just the general health of your body and how that can impact allergies. So,
Right. Yeah.
a good example of this I'm allergic to dogs and to cats and horses and I don't know, pet dander of all sorts of kinds. Like, I haven't really labeled it all, but and even like going outside to mow my lawn, like that can trigger things for me. And I feel like some of the biggest shifts that I've had have been really on the mindset level, in that if I'm outside and I sneeze, right? What used to happen is kind of this onslaught of thoughts about, oh no, I was like, allergy, here we go. Here's all the allergies. It's going to be a bad day. Just like,
right. One
because
sneeze. I can tell from
like
one sneeze, it's going to be awful.
one sneeze can change the life, and or even going into my older sister's house, and she has dogs, and sneezing, and then it's like it is this mindset thing where all of a sudden I'm hyper sensitive and hyper attentive to all of my physical experience versus just being in the moment. And what if I didn't have these thoughts? Like, what if I didn't assign any meaning to the sneeze or to the itchy eye or to anything, and I could just be in this moment? And I'll tell you guys, like, as weird as that is that I'm able to show up to the experience of my life with less allergies because my mind isn't on them. And that's what's weird. And I don't know if you can further explain what happens, but and what your personal experience was in terms of, some of the changes, the mindset with it all. But I found that to be, pretty powerful.
I thought it was really powerful too for myself. Because, the same thing, like, if I went to someone's house when they had a cat, and it gets, if you look at my testing, I'm allergic to cats. And like all my life, every time I went somewhere with a cat, it was a bad experience. And so just changing my mindset to think, as soon as I get one little sniffle, I got a little runny nose, or I got one sneeze, just like you're saying, that means it's all downhill. It's the cat. Like, it's it's just going to be awful. I got to get out of this place. Then you just feel like, the walls are closing in on you, right? It's like, but just having a different mindset, like, hey, you know what? I notice at my house once in a while I sneeze too, like, and I don't have a cat there, right? So just knowing that, yeah, you can have a sneeze or you can have a runny nose, and it does not mean that, because I don't think in my house, once I sneeze, like, oh my God, this is gonna be a terrible day. There's allergens all around me. Like, my allergies are gonna go crazy. It's so that part is just mindset. And some people have a hard time, getting their mind around that, just really accepting that, but, some things I like to point out is, how powerful your mind can be. Like, one of the things I talk to people about is the placebo effect. Like, people have heard of the placebo effect, right? And like they do these studies where they give half the people placebo and they still get a positive effect. I mean, you see this in allergy medication studies. The people with the allergy medication, they get such and such effect. The people that took placebo, like somebody like, they'll get 50% better or something like that. I mean, it's amazing. And you know what that's from? It's not from the sugar pill. It's from their mind.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, like, if you just consciously use your mind, you can have those same effects. Like, you don't have to take a sugar pill to have that effect. So that's, when people are skeptical that, oh, like, that's just baloney or something like that. It's not baloney. There's like a gazillion studies that use placebos that prove that you can use your mind. Your mind can have a physical effect on your body.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll also say, like, how it is when, like, what if someone told you you had just been in a house where the person had bed bugs, and you just, like, like, when it's like that, you just start itching. Like, you're like, oh my God, like, I just, like, my whole body starts to feel like it's itching, right? And like, but even if you don't have bed bugs, you just get itchy, right? Because your mind is having a physical effect on your body. It happens all the time. And like, and it's amazing how people like to say, oh, like, your mind can't have an effect on your body like that. Well, of course it can. It happens all the time. Everybody knows it does. Like, it's amazing that people argue it doesn't.
I love it. Well, and maybe you can confirm this, but do most like pharmaceutical studies, isn't it almost like a requirement that they have a placebo as the control, or just like as a comparison of, okay, is this actually helpful, or is this just mental. I don't know.
Right. I mean, almost all of them do. Like by the time you get to be, a medication that's going for FDA approval, like there have to be some placebo studies. Like I don't know.
Right.
I guess I'm not enough of an expert on, pharmaceutical studies to know for sure that there's no way to do it. But, occasionally, medications will just have to show that they're at least as good as some other medication that's already approved. But
Yeah.
most of them will have a placebo study.
Yeah. And the fact that, for the most part, like these placebo studies and them taking a fake pill, which isn't the real one, but it's still having an impact because, what people do is that they take a pill and then what goes on is that they believe that this new medication is going to cure them, that it's going to help them. And tricks, I guess you could say tricks their body into believing that, and to actually healing itself. So I remember you mentioning how you have like a breathing exercise that you've created for people who just like want that instant allergy relief. Because what I can see happening is, even in my own experience, where if I get into the mindset, I guess, of allergies, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm experiencing it, that literally what's happening in that experience too is that the inflammation is happening, where it's like there is a swelling of nose and throat and a very physical reaction to those thoughts. And that a way to combat that, or at least to get back to a place of, I guess, control and less inflammation, less swelling, that, even a breathing exercise could help with that. So I don't know if you have talked to that or whether you've seen power in that, but
yeah, I mean, it really does both things that you're saying. That's the key to it.
Yeah.
It's, what you want really is to like, oh, I really wish I could breathe better through my nose right now. So like,
Right.
when you do this exercise, it helps to open up your breathing passages. And it's the same thing, like that your mind can actually do that. And also just the actual act of breathing, like as you're breathing through your nose, your body's realizing, hey, I need to breathe. If my breathing is restricted through my nose, your body knows, your body realizes, I better open up the nasal passage because I got to breathe through my nose, right? So it does that, from a physical standpoint, to open up the nasal passage, but it is also from a mental standpoint, and it really is breaking you out of that cycle. It's breaking you out of I just had a sniffly nose. It must be the cat. I'm going to have a full-blown allergy attack, like,
yeah,
I'm like heading down the drain of misery, right? It breaks you out of that if you're just like, you focus on your breath, you focus on how much you want your body to be in balance and settled down. Then that signal to your mind, to your brain, is able to send a signal to the rest of your body to settle down.
Yeah. I kind of think about this, this relationship that we have with our bodies, and just this shift of, we've talked about this shift of being an allergy acceptor, because that's kind of where the majority of people are living, is this idea that I'm just going to accept allergies as a way of life, and that we even identify, like that's what we do. We just identify because we have this past evidence of whenever I interact with a dog, I sneeze. Okay. So it's like we have this very factual just experience of life. And then from a repeated number of these experiences, we now identify as someone as like, I am allergic to dogs. I cannot even change that. And what's fascinating is that, yes, we can even get like tested in our blood, and that blood will tell us that you are allergic to those things. And what I find maybe fascinating, or maybe it's like, I don't know, because I think the ideal would be not to be allergic to dogs. It's like the ideal would be not to have this allergic and inflammatory response to dust, to dogs, to horses, and all these things. And so I guess in my mind, when I think about it in terms of identity, what have you seen as the way in which everything that you're doing like relates to like identity and what people are trying to do and how it can help them?
Yeah. I mean, it really does have a lot to do with that. I don't know if you noticed earlier, but when I was giving myself an example, I think I wanted to say like I'm allergic to cats or something like that, but like I really am hesitant to even say that for myself,
Oh
because like
yeah.
right now, like I don't identify myself as someone really with allergies anymore. I feel like that used to be me. Now it's not
Mm.
me. And it's almost like I feel like if I do say that, like I'm allergic to cats, like, well, then I'm taking a step back because like I'm not allergic to cats anymore. And I don't know, like, I have not done the testing. Like it might be interesting to get the testing to, see, do I still react to the cat dander? But for me, it's almost like it's not important, right? Because the way I
Yeah.
go through life is, uh, assuming that I'm not allergic to cats. So like when I go into someone's house who has a cat, like I don't want to be someone who's allergic to cats. I want to be someone who used to be allergic to cats, right? I want to be someone who has a
Yeah.
balanced body, and I don't worry about how my body is going to respond. And ultimately, what it comes down to, this is what I try to accomplish with Allergy Fix, is to get to a point where your body is in balance, so that even if you're exposed to something like cats in my situation, my body doesn't freak out, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being in freak out mode all the time, where as soon as I see a cat, practically, like I start to, feel like I'm allergic. Um, I get to a point where, I see a cat and I know my body's in balance. And like, honestly, maybe I do even respond. Maybe my body does respond a little bit, but it's not in
Yeah.
a freak out mode, right? It's just mild, right? So that's the place that it's useful to get to, where you just no longer identify as someone who's allergic to a certain thing. And this is the thing, like, when I had allergy testing before, I know I was like very allergic to ragweed. They do the how many pluses? It's like 4+ is the most you can be. I was four
Yeah.
plus to ragweed for sure, which is the late summer. Like right now, especially in Wisconsin where I live, it's totally ragweed, season. It's all in the air right now. And
Yeah.
for me, you know, that means like if I would go out for a walk in the middle of a field that's got tons of ragweed in it, I would come back and be like just the picture of allergies, right? Runny nose,
Yeah.
puppy eyes, like red eyes, sneezing. But now, one of the things that Katrina and I enjoy doing is taking our dog for a walk in this field. They intentionally planted it with wildflowers that are native to this area. And it's got tons of this stuff in there. I'm sure there's tons of ragweed, all through
Yeah.
that field. We go out there and we walk for like an hour and come back, I feel fine. It's
Yeah.
just that different because like I just, I feel like my body is just not in freak out mode. It's just in a good balance.
It's so fascinating because part of me wants to relate this maybe to anxiety, because people will have anxiety attacks and
Hmm.
where it's almost like they get into this rabbit hole of negative thinking and just like, oh my goodness, and they respond to their breathing just like, I can't breathe, oh my goodness, and then it's just like it just compounds upon itself. And and it's the same, I think, in terms of we could take these very matter of factual type of things that we've just always grown up with. And I think that's what's really powerful here is that when we're kids and all of a sudden we have an allergic experience, our parents will communicate to us. It's like, oh, you're allergic to this. You
Hmm.
are, like, identity, right?
Right.
And then so now I grow up, like I grew up, it's like I am allergic and it's my mom's fault because she was allergic.
Right. Right.
you know,
Right.
you're right. It's like, we have these parents and they and they give us this genetic, DNA or whatever. And so now that's in my blood, and we can describe it like that. And that's what's really fascinating, is that even this very factual and even scientific thing, there are people and experiences and stories I've heard of people who have cancer and then they change their mindset and then they don't have cancer. Like that they do something more on a spiritual and mental level without the medications and without even chemotherapy or whatever. It's just like, and they're able to change their very cells. And so that to me, just like, okay, if that's possible for other people, then why not possible for this very factual thing of just like, I have allergies, or it's like, or not even saying I have allergies. It's just being able to say, I feel like for me, what ends up happening is, oh, I sneezed. That's interesting. It's just like,
right. And then that's the
there's
end
no
of the story.
attachment. That's the end
Right.
of the story.
That's it. Right. And honestly, the idea of anxiety is a really good example of this. Right.
Yeah.
People are familiar with anxiety or a panic attack. And, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the mind having a physical effect on the body. Right.
Yeah.
People that are having anxiety or having a panic attack, they will get a racing heartbeat. Right. They'll feel short of breath. They'll even get like, tingling in their fingertips. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the mind having a physical effect on the body, right?
Yeah.
And what you can do with training and with work is you can get yourself out of that, right? People can calm themselves down. They can learn to, get themselves out of a panic attack. And part of the way that they do that is they go to the physical effects and work backwards, right? So they slow down their breathing. They calm themselves down, and then, or they do some sort of like meditation where they're breathing, slowly through their nose, and that can help to calm them down. It's like the two, like the physical effects and the mind, what's going on in the mind, are totally playing off of each other all the time. And again, this is where when people say, oh, like, yes, you can control your breathing, yeah, but you can't control other parts of your body. It totally, it's not true. It happens all the time. And people will like just don't even think about it that way, but it's totally what's happening.
Yeah. And just like any sport, or just like managing anxiety, it requires skills too. It's not just mindset, but that there are habits and things in which you can do to be able to create, a balanced body, in that terms, or to, like in the sports world, to be able to hit the ball better or shoot the ball better, or, whatever it is that you're working on, that there are skills that you can learn to be able to create the healthy life and body that you desire. And I think that that's kind of what you've done with Allergy Fix. And I think it would be neat to hear, what would be your definition of what a balanced body is? And if someone wanted to like achieve that goal, then I don't know, either what would they need to do, or like, how could they interact with you to be able to achieve that?
Yeah, I mean, when I think of a balanced body, I really think of kind of what I described before, is your body is working with you to do all the things that you want it to do. And, in terms of inflammation, that means not being in that, what I call freak out mode, where you're at a baseline level of inflammation and you're kind of balanced between allergy mode and other type of inflammation is balanced. But really, like from a practical perspective of someone who's just trying to understand their body, it's just like having your body be working with you to do all the things that you want it to do. So what that means, like as far as like getting there, it is a couple of things that we talked about before. One is paying attention to what's coming into your body, including the air you're breathing, the water you're drinking, the food that's coming into it. So that's a big part of it. Part of that is aimed at getting your gut, in good health and good balance also. because that's a really big contributor to inflammation overall. And also it contributes to that imbalance of your immune system. And then we talked about the importance of sleep, because proper sleep and enough sleep can really help to reset your immune system, and make sure that that's, functioning ideally. It's really kind of amazing how big of an impact that can have on your overall immune function.
Yeah.
And then the last part is the mindset that we talked about. So all those things contribute. They all play a different role in getting into that balanced body. That's the other thing that we didn't really focus on sleep that much, but sleep can have a huge impact on. This is another one of those things where people say, "Oh, I don't need as much sleep," or something like that. But it's another area where we all know and we've all seen when having lack of sleep can really impair your immune system. Like we know, like when we've been like cramming for a test or totally stressed out at the end of a school semester and staying up all late to study for tests and stuff like that. And as soon as people get past that, it's so common for people to get sick at that point. They get this break in their immune, where they're not under that same stress, and they get sick. Same thing happens when people are under stress at work. If they're stressed, then their immune system gets worn out and they will get sick. Or when people have like a long plane flight or something like that, and they stay up and don't get very much sleep that night, then a lot of times they'll end up getting sick on the other end of that. So these are things where like we all have had those experiences or heard of someone where that's happened to them. And we never think, oh, it's because of sleep. But it's pretty common for us to realize that when you're run down and not getting enough sleep, your immune system's gonna suffer. Yeah. And this is the kind of thing where like those are, discrete examples of it. But if it's a chronic thing, like if you constantly are not getting enough sleep, then it's going to have a long-term effect on your immune system. And that can really, definitely play into the allergy balance.
Yeah. I love what you said when you're talking about how the balanced body is about you being able to work with your body. Because the thing about like the literal experience of what happens within the body with allergies is that your body is attacking itself.
Right.
Yeah. And I couldn't help but just also think about how when it comes to inherent identity, I just want to imagine that, what if your body actually has this built-in, it does have this built-in healing, like it is abnormal to be sick. Right. The normal experience of life in this physical body is a life of a whole and healed body. When you get cut, you heal. It is abnormal to be all cut up and to have, even this inner workings that aren't meshing. And so when our body's attacking itself, and in terms of our mindset, attacking ourselves and beating ourselves up, this is like all this stuff that when we fight against who we really are, then we lose, which makes perfect sense, because in the Civil War, it's like no matter what, you're losing.
Yeah.
Because your own people are dying.
It's almost like you just have to get out of the way and let the body do the work itself, right? When all the things I was talking about to get you there, it's really just giving the body ideal conditions to take care of itself.
Right. And so, but that's the challenge. Everybody knows that they need to do these things. So they need to eat better. They need to sleep better. They need to maybe breathe better air and do these things, but they struggle. And so this is like my plea to all of you, one, having experienced working with Matt, is like, if you experience allergies and you struggle with creating a balanced body and want to have your body work with you versus having it fight against itself and destroy you, leaving you with less energy, leaving you with less ability to even like brain fog, like all those things that impact your life on a daily basis, then it's like, okay, then let's talk to Matt. So if people are interested and they want to take this journey, they want to have a balanced body, they want to like cure what they thought was incurable in terms of their allergies, where would you send them?
Well, it's called Allergy Fix. And so the website is allergyfixmd.com. So they can just go right there and get more information about it.
That's it. That's all you guys have to do. Yep. Allergyfixmd.com.
Keep it simple.
Go there and you can, I think there's like, isn't there like a free checklist of things that you can start? It's like something that's there that you can like immediately start to get some insight as to like things that you can change.
Yep. Okay. Yep. So yeah, all you need to do is put your email in and you can get that free guide to start with, and you can find out more about the program.
Awesome. Yes. So I am like, you guys, whether you think I'm selling you, I am, because I just am shamelessly, I am putting a shameless plug in for Matt just because I personally also don't really identify as someone having allergies. It's almost like I refuse that idea as a concept. It's just like, what if I just let go of this thing that I've labeled myself and now start living a new life where I have so much more energy, so much more, such a better relationship with my body, where I have so much more like energy, clarity, all the things that I desired. And I think that was a large part of the work that we did together. So if that's what you want, then there are people there to help. And Matt's one of them. So that's my shameless plug.
Yeah, thanks, Tyson.
Awesome. It was good having you, Matt. And we will talk to you all later. Thank you so much. Hey, do you want to create your best life? Do you want to live into it? If that's you, I want you to come and check out inherentidentity.com. This is the place where you get to learn the easy and effortless way to living into your dreams. So once again, come check out inherentidentity.com. We'll see you there.